fellow Losties, and welcome back to Freckles and Blondie. And commence with all the, oh my god, yay, Claire's back!
Absolutely.
Today we're discussing Homecoming, the 15th episode of Lost, and 15 suddenly sounds like a lot to me. We've done this podcast for a long time.
I know, I can't believe we're 2/3 of the way through the first season already.
That's so crazy, and it's my favorite season. It makes me a little sad.
Yeah.
You would think we would know what we were doing with this podcast by now.
I know. Turns out that is still not the case.
Luckily, people don't get to hear all our technical difficulties, because then they would immediately turn this off.
Yeah, they would. Turns out anyone can start a podcast, guys. You don't need to be an expert in anything.
Yeah, you can do it. It's just going to involve a lot of issues. Mm-hmm. I'm just glad all our episodes are back on iTunes.
Yes, that was very worrying for a while.
Oh, good Lord. Anyway, this episode of Lost aired February 9th, 2005. It was directed by Kevin Hooks and written by Damon Lindelof. And I felt like I knew that before I even read it. It feels like Damon Lindelof. I feel like I have a feel for his writing now.
I agree. It does feel like Damon Lindelof. I feel like by the end of this series, he'll probably be one of my favorite writers on the show.
Yeah, I think he already is.
Yeah.
Every episode that he does just feels so, classic Lost to me. Mm-hmm. It's all the things I like about Lost.
But I have to tell you, when I was reading trivia about this episode, mm-hmm. You might have read this too. I read a quote that this is one of his least favorite episodes he ever wrote for Lost.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Isn't that crazy? Apparently, he said, and I'm quoting this, he said it was flawed in almost every single level that an episode of Lost could be, because apparently he wanted to focus more on Charlie's, expanding Charlie's drug addiction and exploring that. Mm-hmm. And instead, he felt like because of the stuff with Ethan and Claire, he was kind of forced to go in a different way with Charlie's character. Which I love this episode. So when I read that, I was like, wow, that is crazy. That this is one of his least favorite ones he ever did.
Yeah, but that explanation makes sense. What I wrote about this episode was that Charlie's flashback doesn't feel completely relevant. Mm-hmm. It is not nearly as gripping as his flashback in The Moth.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite as good as The Moth either. I think it gets pretty close though for me.
Well, and it definitely connects the way that, we've been liking, where what they're flashing back to connects with what's happening on the island.
Right.
But I can see, if he wrote this episode, just trying to connect his flashback to what's happening on the island, of course it connects, but it just wasn't the story he wanted to tell.
Right.
So that's so interesting.
Yeah, it is, because to me, this episode it just seems so confident, it knows exactly what it's doing. Mm-hmm. When I was watching this, the hour or, however long it was just seemed to fly by.
Yeah. Well, I think everything happening on the island is awesome. That's definitely the strength of this episode, I think.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed the whole thing, but that could be just because of my obsession with Dominic Monaghan and everything he does, so I could be a little biased.
I like it. I like what's happening. I just, this girl doesn't mean anything, so, I don't really want to spend that much time with her. Spending time with his brother in a flashback, that makes sense, because that's a big figure in his life. But this, random girl and this random event he had with her, it doesn't feel as important.
Okay. It felt significant to me, but I don't know.
Well, we will discuss that as we go forward.
We will.
I also wanted to tell you, this is the thing that I started telling Randy this 3 times before we recorded, and then was no, wait, never mind. We haven't recorded yet. But, so I was on Instagram, and I've started posting these questions to people, about, various things that we disagree on in the podcast, just to figure out what the general population thinks. And so one of the things I asked was what people think about Shannon and Saeed.
Ooh, interesting.
Because I think most people I talk to in my day-to-day life think it's weird, Shannon and Saeed, but I never have.
Uh-huh.
So I was just wondering what most people think. And I was very surprised at the response on Instagram. Most people seem to like them.
Really?
Yeah. A couple people said that they were like kind of confused by it. Some people said like it took them a while to warm up to it.
Mm-hmm.
That like at first they were just like, what? But overall, people seem to like it. But it seemed like a lot of people had the caveat that Nadia was who Saeed should really be with.
Yes.
They just enjoy him with Shannon.
That's what I always thought. Like, Nadia was the one he was meant to be with. Like, they were fated forever. Shannon, not so much for me.
Right. I totally get that perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that. It's just fun to watch him with Shannon.
Yeah, that's interesting that most people seem to like it. I can't remember. I feel like when I was watching it, you know, when it was on the air, the people I would talk to, most people also didn't get it.
Yeah. Like, I know that our roommates also thought it was weird.
Did they? I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about them that just doesn't click the same way like Jack and Kate or Claire and Charlie do to me.
Yeah, definitely. But I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
So thanks for participating if you commented on Instagram.
Yes, we love hearing comments like that. Or I do when Tiffany tells them to me because I don't have time to look at Instagram too much. But...
And I have too much time on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's okay. I send screenshots to Randy when you say something really cool.
I love getting those at work when I just want to throw myself out the window. So it's nice.
Yes. Day brightener.
Yeah.
Okay, we should get into this episode because I have a feeling it's going to take us a while. It's a very dense episode.
Mm-hmm.
Previously on Lost, Ethan sucks and he took Claire and he beat up Jack and he almost killed Charlie, but now Claire is back. Claire apparently collapsed in Locke's arms right after the last episode ended, and Locke was a beast and carried her over a mile back to camp. Everyone is worried and crowded around her as Jack wipes her forehead with a washcloth, rousing her to consciousness. When she wakes, Claire screams and scrambles away from him. Charlie tells her she's safe, but Claire is still panicked, screaming, "Who are you people?" Emily J. Raven, she is the official Lost screamer.
Yep. No one else does it better than she does.
They really don't. She has coined that. That is hers. Nobody else can have it.
Yep. Yeah. This feels like it might be the shortest opening we've ever had so far.
Yeah. It is really short, but it packs like such a punch that it's just right. It cuts off at the exact right spot.
Definitely.
Claire doesn't remember Ethan or anything except being on the plane. Jack explains that the plane crashed a month ago, but Claire thinks that can't be because surely someone would have come by now. Jen and Sun share a moment of concern for Claire, and especially for her baby. They look at each other, and they have lots of feelings.
Mm-hmm. Lots of feelings that we can't talk about yet, I feel like.
Right. I feel like this is like the first indication of them like wanting a child.
Yeah.
We haven't really gotten much about that. Or about them even, really. It's been a while since House of the Rising Sun.
I know. I can't wait until their next episode. It's so good. But yeah, the fact that Claire... I remember when I first saw this episode, I was like, oh, she's back. We can finally get to know what the hell's going on. The fact that she remembers nothing is so frustrating.
It is so frustrating.
I mean, I can see why they did it. You don't want to give away all the answers in episode, this is only episode 15. They've got things, they've got like a plot they've got to stick to.
Right. They're still building the mystery at this point.
Exactly. But it's just like one more thing that we don't get answers to. It's like, oh, so annoying.
Do you remember like what you thought had happened?
Like why she came back?
Why she came back or where she was or what the heck he was doing. Like, I don't remember having like any idea what he could possibly be doing with her.
I mean, I just assumed he was torturing her because he's awful.
Oh,
and then that she escaped. I mean, what else would he be doing?
I don't know.
Listen, like I said a few episodes ago, I'm done with him. Like, I already know everything I need to know about Ethan as a person. Like, he's terrible.
Oh, that's so funny. I don't think I ever really thought he was torturing her.
Well, what did you think?
I don't know. Maybe he was lonely and he wanted a friend and he thought Claire could be his new wife and they could have a baby.
Wow, that is such a generous reading.
Oh God, I have no idea. I'm just hypothetical.
No, I know.
Yeah, I didn't really have any idea what he was doing. Locke and Boone are discussing Claire. Boone asks Locke if he thinks Ethan is still around, and Locke says he sure hopes not. Charlie gives Claire her diary, and it's really convenient that the girl who lost her memory is also the girl who happens to keep a diary.
It is convenient. And the fact that she kept up with it when she's on a desert island for a month.
Yeah. Though if you do keep a diary, that would be the time to really record what's going on.
Very true.
Charlie explains to Claire that they had been together when Ethan took her and that he had taken him too. Claire asks what happened to him, but Charlie says that's a story for the morning. Claire says she won't be able to sleep, and Charlie says that's good because he doesn't sleep either and he would enjoy the company. Claire looks at him and asks if they're friends. Charlie smiles and he says yes. They're so cute.
I know, they are. And I love how they just have an instant connection, even though, hypothetically, this is the first time they're meeting, again.
Yeah, it's like 50 First Dates.
Right, exactly. They're so cute.
Charlie just has to start all over and win her heart again.
Yeah.
Just go grab the invisible peanut butter. In a flashback, Charlie is happily enjoying some illegal substances and perusing the nearest pub for beautiful women. Well, one woman in particular, who happens to be totally loaded. Charlie's charm is relentless, and the two, well, three, including her friend, smile and flirt.
He's so charming. Dominic Monaghan is so charming throughout this whole episode.
It's weird, actually, to me, because he doesn't seem this smooth on the island. He seems kind of awkward in a lovable way, but he just seems so suave in the pub,
Yeah, I feel but he's really trying there. I mean, he's not really trying on the island.
I was gonna say maybe it's because he's on drugs.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe it's a confidence boost or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've never been on drugs.
Me either, so who knows? But yeah, I love it. He's doing terrible things in this episode, and I don't care, because he's just so charming.
He is. He's adorable.
He really is.
Back on the island, Captain Skeptical, Saeed, is pointing out the unlikeliness of Claire, 9 months pregnant, escaping Ethan on her own. He suggests that Ethan sent Claire back. Charlie and Jack think that is crazy, and Saeed goes on to say that amnesia is extremely rare. Jack agrees, but says that it's possible. Charlie is angry that everyone is discussing Claire without actually helping her, so he heads over to spend some time with her. I find this whole thing, super weird.
Really? Why?
Well, okay. So, first of all, we're completely ignoring the fact that Charlie also had amnesia when he returned. Doesn't that seem extremely relevant to Claire having amnesia?
I suppose.
I just feel like Charlie should be well, I didn't remember what had happened to me either. Nobody says anything about that.
That's true, but Charlie was, hung up in a tree. He was basically dead. So I feel maybe it's a little bit different, but I can see your point.
I guess. And then I just think it's weird that they think it's so crazy that Ethan would just send Claire back.
But why would he do that? That doesn't seem crazy to you?
I think Saeed's right. It sounds crazier that Claire was able to break away from him when she and Charlie together couldn't do it.
Good point.
So it just seems weird that they're okay, Saeed. That's nuts.
It seems to me that someone should have considered the fact that Ethan isn't alone.
Yeah.
And there could be other people working with him, working against him. Ethan's there. Saeed's already had an encounter with Rousseau, which I'm sure he told, most people know about.
Yeah.
It's weird to me that someone's hey, maybe Ethan is working with a group of people and who knows what was going on there. That would have been my first thought.
Right. Yeah. But then all the more reason for it to be hard for her to get away if there are other people.
Yeah, that's very true.
Charlie joins Jin on his walk back to the caves. He regales him with how wonderful it must be to live in ignorance of all the insane happenings on the island. Jen quiets him, hearing some sort of weird whooshing sound. A makeshift nunchuck rock thing comes flying at Jen's head and knocks him out instantly. Charlie is rightfully stunned as Ethan approaches with another weapon in his hand, saying he wants her back and he wants Charlie to bring her. Charlie asks what he did to her, and he makes to attack Ethan, but he lifts Charlie by the throat, threatening to kill someone if Charlie doesn't bring Claire to him. He says every day that he doesn't have Claire, someone else will die until he does. Charlie catches his breath as Ethan walks away.
This is terrifying.
It's so terrifying.
The way he walks and like the scratches on his face, and he looks like he's wearing the same clothes he wore a couple weeks ago when he took Claire and Charlie. Like, it's so scary.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about his clothes before, but you're right. He just exudes creepiness and like intensity. Like when someone holds you up by your throat, I just gotta listen to that guy.
Right. It just shows me that, I mean, to me, it's like, you can't reason with this guy. He's threatening to kill innocent people before you bring Claire back to him. Like, it's just insane.
Charlie has told Locke and Jack about his encounter with Ethan. Charlie wants to go after him and kill him, and Jack agrees. But Locke said that didn't turn out very well the last time that they tracked Ethan. Locke wants to post guards and only tell a select few people about the threat. Jack responds, if he does what he says he's going to do, then that blood is on our hands. Locke agrees to tell everyone if that's what they want to do, but says that they do need a defense. Jack says everyone will move to the caves. Locke is worried that Ethan isn't alone and that bunching up in a group will leave them more vulnerable to an attack. Jack says fine. What is Locke's master plan? Because you know he's got one.
Of course. I like that he's listening to Locke now. Like, this is going a lot better than it did in episode 11, where Jack just kind of went off on his own to do whatever he wanted. So
yeah, that's true. You're going to be mad, but I'm now taking this as textual evidence that if Charlie had died when Ethan hung him, it would have been Jack's fault.
That is bullshit. How dare you?
Jack just said it.
Wait, what are you talking about exactly?
He says if Ethan does what he says he's going to, then that blood is on our hands. Jack, of all people saying this, he has to be thinking about Charlie, right?
Right, but just because he says it and he thinks it doesn't mean it's true. Like, just because he feels that way doesn't mean it would have actually been his fault if Charlie had died.
It would be his fault a little bit.
It would not be his fault at all. I do not accept that. What other option? You know what? We can have this argument again.
We can't. But I like the callback. Then I like that he's thinking about that still.
Yeah, I didn't catch that, so that is good.
I assume that's what he's thinking about. I don't know what else he could be referring to.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of their plans? Well, I guess we don't have Locke's plan yet, but what do you think of Jack's plan, I guess?
I think it's a good plan. I mean, I think if I was in that situation, I would tend to lean toward kind of grouping everyone together so that way you don't have stragglers who are kind of picked off. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I'm no expert, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think I agree with the grouping together part, but I would rather do it on the beach since Claire was taken at the caves. Clearly, Ethan knows how to handle the caves, so I would go to the beach.
That's a good point, because the beach is like more open.
Right.
You would
like,
think,
how could you get somebody couldn't sneak up on you on the beach like they could in the caves?
Yeah. Jack is just obsessed with those caves.
He really loves his caves. He needs a t-shirt. Team Cave.
He does.
Even though everything bad that happens on this island happens in the caves.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Although Ethan does later kill someone from coming from the ocean.
Yeah, so, I know. Like, it's ridiculous. I still think that's the better plan, though.
Yeah.
The son asks Jin what he thinks is going on. He says he couldn't possibly know, but he was attacked because of something that they did. Claire tells Charlie that everyone is avoiding her. Something is going on. Charlie changes the subject, asking her about her memory, but it's still gone. She asks again if anything is going on, and Charlie says no, there's nothing.
Yeah. Do you think he should have lied to her like this?
No, I don't. I think part of the problem before was that they didn't trust Claire, and they're kind of not trusting Claire again.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky.
Yeah, I think Charlie's just trying to protect her, but...
Right. I think he has they all have the best intentions, and I'm not really sure how it would have gone any better if they had told her everything up front.
Yeah. Well, she may have felt more in control of the situation. When she doesn't know what's going on and somebody dies because of her, she's going to feel enormously guilty. And like, if she had known, maybe this didn't happen.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like the fact that she's like 9 months pregnant is a big factor. Like, they're really trying not to freak her out or get her any more upset than she already is.
But like, that's the thing. She's already so upset. Like, she doesn't know what's going on. She's on a desert island with strangers. Like, at this point, I think you can just tell her the truth.
Yeah, but I mean, she would be even more upset if Charlie was like, hey, so this guy we're all talking about, he took you and then he hung me from a tree and he's insane.
Yeah.
That would be, that would be a lot.
I just feel like he could tell her about what they're all discussing. Like, so the guy who took you wants to take you back and we're not going to let that happen. We're trying to figure out a plan to deal with him. Like, that doesn't sound that scary.
Yeah, so tell her just a little bit, not the whole thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess you don't have to emphasize his scariness. Just be like, this is what's going down.
Yeah, if that was me, I'd be like, look, Claire, there's a straight up serial killer after you. Things are serious. I'm so sorry, but...
I'm sorry, but things are not looking good for you.
Yeah. Bye. Too bad.
In a flashback, Charlie's been invited back to his lady's house. He asks Lucy about her rich father and peruses all the fancy trinkets around her house. For some reason, she invites Charlie to meet her father the next day, even though she's only met him that night. This girl just moves really fast, I guess.
He's so charming! Oh my god, if I met him in a bar, I would totally bring it back.
You would be introducing him to your family the next day?
I mean, he's so charming and British.
I guess you would.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying. And he's got his like little newsboy cap on. I love it.
This all just feels like forced to me. It seems so convenient for Charlie that this girl is like, oh, let's meet my rich father tomorrow. You know? Like, what are the odds of that happening?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I like the actress who plays Lucy. I forget to get her name, but I kind of feel like she had good chemistry with Dominic Monaghan.
Oh yeah, I liked her too. And I thought she was like a good character. She seemed really nice. She just doesn't seem very important to his overall story, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, she's a girl that he like meets, like as of right now, he's known her for like an hour. And he's already invited to go hang out with her dad. I don't know.
Yeah, I forgot that detail. You're right. That's very quick. But
like everything that happens with them, it all happens really quick. And it's just all a little too convenient.
Yeah, for some reason I thought it lasted a couple weeks, but I guess that's not true. I don't know what happens to me when I watch Charlie episodes. I just get so dazzled by Dominic Monaghan, I just forget the details. I don't know.
I'm starting to wonder if I'm warming to Charlie because I started listening to those interviews with Dominic Monaghan.
Yes.
And I thought he was so wonderful.
Yeah. That's why I love him so much.
It's clouding our judgment.
It really is, but I don't care.
It's funny because when I see Josh Holloway in interviews, I'm always like, wow, you are nothing like Sawyer. I am like not interested at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird.
It is weird. He's so perky.
Yeah.
I can't deal.
He's so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And smiling. It's like, who is this person?
I know. I'm just like, oh, okay. Kate has brought Jack some fruit and asks Jack why Ethan would want Claire back. She suggests that Jack open the case and use the guns to defend them. Jack says the chances of them shooting each other are much higher than them defending themselves. Kate protests, but Jack says he won't put guns into untrained hands. And I am totally with him on this. That sounds like a horrible idea.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when Ethan hasn't pulled out a gun of his own. So at this point, you got to be thinking there are like 45 of us. And I mean, they're assuming there's only one of Ethan. Surely we can overpower this guy without guns,
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think their next steps are exactly what I would do. Like,
Yeah.
build a nice defensive situation to protect everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Locke has created some Rousseau-style alarms to set around the camp to alert them to any intruders. Saeed's built up some fires, and he's looking for guards to put on rotating shifts. Boone volunteers, and Saeed agrees hesitantly, but Locke tells Boone that they're counting on him, and he looks like a proud papa.
Sure does.
So funny.
Yeah, it's weird.
Locke is just like the cheerleader for these wounded guys. He's like, you can do this, Boone. Charlie,
Right.
you can kick drugs. You got this.
I don't know. The whole relationship between Boone and Locke is just still a little crazy to me. But
Is it crazy just because of how it came about?
yes, it's crazy because of how it came about through the drug-induced mystery pace. It's also crazy because, I mean, I feel like Boone hasn't really done anything to deserve this so-called praise from Locke, you know?
Yeah, I don't think he has, other than his eagerness to help. And I think Locke is just trying to pull out the potential in him.
Yeah. It's hard for me to see any potential.
Well, when he was on his own, he was causing a lot of problems. So at least with some supervision, maybe we'll get some things done.
That's true.
It's nighttime and Charlie is extremely worried about Claire. Jack assures him that nothing is going to happen to her. In Charlie's flashback, he's enjoying dinner with his new girlfriend and her father. They compliment his band and how impressive Charlie is. Apparently, her father used to be in a band himself until he dropped out to be a practical, responsible family man, much like Liam is doing. Liam has just had his daughter, and Charlie says the band hasn't been together for a year, and he may do a solo project soon. He says he and Liam don't keep in touch, and there are problems with the royalties. He looks sad, and he says that Drive Shaft is dead.
It is sad.
Yeah.
You can just see how hard it is for him to even talk about the end of Drive Shaft.
Yeah.
I feel like Charlie, you can just tell, even when he's doing awful things, he has such good intentions. Like, he wants to do the right thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. He has a good core,
Yeah.
even as he's plotting to steal from this family.
Right, exactly.
This realization that Drive Shaft is dead apparently causes Charlie to get a job selling copiers. His drug dealer is not super thrilled about that. He wants Charlie to continue with the plan to steal from the family. He's been giving Charlie free drugs, expecting payback from whatever Charlie steals. Charlie says he needs to think about his future, but the dealer says that he's not going to give him his fix for the next couple days, and he's going to be in bad shape when he starts his job on Friday. On Monday.
Yeah.
My brain subconsciously switched that. I saw Monday and I was like, nope, Friday.
Screw Monday. It's Friday now.
So Charlie's not keeping the best company.
No, he's not.
He is just surrounded by bad influences.
Yeah. His life could have been so different if he had been surrounded by different people.
It could have. Man.
Oh, Charlie.
If this was Sawyer's episode and he was planning to steal his girlfriend's stuff, you would be so angry with him.
You know what? I thought the exact same thing when I was watching this episode because Charlie is doing something really despicable, but I just don't care because I love Charlie so much and I feel like his intentions are so good.
That's so funny.
So, I know. I don't know what to tell you, but I was thinking the same thing.
It's just that lovable Dominic Monaghan selling everything. Yeah. Charlie just has this kind of vulnerability about him. It makes you want to root for him even when he's doing the wrong stuff.
Yeah, it does.
Like, you don't want to root for him to do the wrong stuff. You want him to, rise above it.
Right. Because I feel like he has so much unfulfilled potential.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's not, maybe one of the differences between him and Sawyer is he's not actively working against it as hard as Sawyer does, which Sawyer has his reasons for doing that.
Working against what?
Fulfilling his own potential, the potential to be not a shitty person. Do you know what I mean?
No, wait, what do you mean?
I don't even know if I know what I mean. I feel like Sawyer makes it so much harder for himself to realize his full potential because I feel like deep down Sawyer,
You feel like Sawyer intentionally sabotages himself? Is that what you mean? Like we talked about him like trying to punish himself.
Right. And he has reasons for that, but it gets frustrating when he seems like he's actively working so hard against moving on, you know, growing into a better person.
Right.
And I feel like Charlie doesn't do that as much. Like, I don't feel like he's actively working against himself as much. Sometimes I feel like Sawyer sits down with a list every day and he's like, okay, what can I do today to make everyone hate me and to make my life that much worse, because that, you know, he feels like he deserves it. But still, it's like, you don't have to do that to yourself all the time.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Sawyer definitely has this kind of like masochistic kind of thing where he must suffer. And Charlie seems to very often be suffering because of just being influenced by others.
Right.
His is kind of rooted in this weakness where he allows others to control him.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's my main frustration with Sawyer, I feel like.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would never have, like, compared Charlie and Sawyer.
I know.
But, you know, they've got some stuff in common, after all.
They do.
Back on the island, there are fires and guards as everybody waits. Boone is drifting to sleep because, oh my god, freaking Boone.
One job, Boone.
Seriously.
You had one job.
This is your time to shine. When
God.
he wakes, it's daytime, and God knows what has happened. He falls in a panic, and Vincent, Locke, and Saeed find him lying there. There's a scream, and they run back to the beach, finding a dead body. Apparently, Ethan came in from the water, bypassing their perimeter of protection. Hurley leads the group in a funeral for Scott, and everyone looks super, super freaked out.
Ugh, yeah.
Boone.
It's just, seriously. I can't get behind him as a character.
I can't either.
How many times have we had this same scene?
I know.
Like, when he tried to save Rose in the pilot with pens or whatever, when he was trying to save that girl from drowning and started drowning himself. Like, Boone. I don't know what to do with you. I really don't.
We're running low on water. I better take it all.
Exactly. Exactly. Like,
yeah.
You've had like so many chances and you failed all of them almost. So.
Yeah. Really, I can't think of a character who bothers me more than Boone.
Yeah. Other than Sawyer, for me.
Wow, he ranks lower than Boone. That's depressing.
No. I was just kidding. No, Boone's kind of the worst, so.
At least Sawyer's funny.
Yeah.
Back at the caves, they're giving Claire lots of judgmental glances, and she can't take it anymore. She asks Shannon why everyone is staring at her, and Shannon, of course, tells her everything. Claire is mad and accuses Charlie of keeping her in the dark when she is already in the dark. He apologizes, saying he just wanted to take care of her. She tells him she can take care of herself. The scene breaks me.
Yeah, it's so sad.
She just sounds so hurt. She's like, I'm already in the dark. And I'm like, oh, I know, Claire.
Ugh, yeah, it's rough. And I feel like she would be less angry if she actually remembered, you know, what had happened with Ethan and how awful it was.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
She would understand a little bit more, but...
Even then, before, she was telling Charlie she didn't want to be rescued, you know? So I think she's just struggling with people trying to control her agency, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like she'll struggle with that pretty much throughout the rest of the show.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
know?
Oh, that's sad. God.
Yeah.
Don't get pregnant and have a baby.
Yeah.
Life lesson.
Yeah.
Poor Claire. Lucy has bought Charlie a new suit for his first day of work selling copiers. Charlie is sweating and noticeably suffering from withdrawal as she attempts to boost his confidence for his first day. She is all sweetness as Charlie eyes the valuables around her home. He snags one right before Lucy brings him a brand new briefcase and offers to drive him to work.
I love that scene.
Yeah, it's so terrible.
It is terrible. You can see him struggling so much of whether he's going to take it, whether he's not going to take it.
Yeah. And if he just wasn't a drug addict, this could be his life, you know?
Yeah.
He could be with Lucy and he could sell copiers.
Yeah, it's like he's so close, but he just can't get there just yet.
Right. Locke and Jack are discussing what they should do. Jack wants Locke to track Ethan, but Locke says, as sad as he is about Scott's death, nothing has changed. Ethan has the advantage, this is his turf, and they're just a bunch of idiots with sharp sticks. Jack leads Locke to the case, and he pulls out the guns. Locke loads a gun and holds it up smiling.
He does so much creepy smiling in this episode.
He sure
Did
does.
you notice that? It's annoying.
Oh my gosh, I love it when he smiles.
Oh, but it's like not appropriate in this episode. It's like things are serious. Someone was just murdered. Tone it down, please. I know you're in your favorite place right now on the island, but
everything's good when you're on the island.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder where Locke learned to use a gun.
Yeah, that's a good question. He knows how to do everything.
He sure does. Jack, Saeed, and Locke want to use Claire as bait to lure Ethan out. Charlie is completely against it until Claire steps in, saying she doesn't want anyone else hurt because of her. Charlie agrees, but he wants a gun so that he can help too. Jack asks Charlie if he's ever used a weapon, and he looks down, because obviously he hasn't. And when has Jack ever used a weapon?
That's a good question.
That bugs me this entire episode.
Well, he knows how to use a gun.
Why?
Right?
How?
Didn't he use a gun before?
When?
I don't know. Wow, I thought for sure that he had... I guess you're right.
The only other gun that we've seen so far was the Marshalls, and the only one who has had that gun was Sawyer, and there were other people who had it at different points, but mostly Kate. Remember when they were like trekking and they found the polar bear? That's like our only other encounter with guns so far. And Jack was not there.
Well, maybe he just knows how to use a gun. He just knows how to, he just has shot guns before. Like in his
Maybe
real,
he has.
his life.
I just feel like they needed a line to explain that because they make such a big deal over who knows how to use a gun and who doesn't. And it's just assumed that Jack does.
Yeah, I've just assumed that they've gone around to everyone at this point and asked, asked everyone who here knows how to use a gun. And they've come up with these 4 dudes and that's it.
I just needed one line where Jack was like, yeah, I'd go shooting with my dad or something like that,
That's understandable.
It'll annoy me more later. Don't you worry.
Oh, great. Here we go.
Flashing back with the most jovial music ever. Charlie
I love it.
is selling the exceptional C815 copy machine. He is drenched in sweat and having many issues with this machine because, copiers. Then for some reason, when Charlie gets the urge to vomit, he does so in the dang copier.
Where else was he going to do that?
Anywhere else except the $1,000 machine that he is trying to sell. Like the corner of the room, that would do.
He panicked.
No.
Okay.
There's no excuse for this nonsense.
Oh, poor Charlie. I love this scene. It's so funny.
It is so funny. It reminds me of the scene where he was struggling to read Claire's diary or not read it. And he's just back and forth. And it's so funny. It's so funny. It almost doesn't feel like it fits in Lost, but you can just barely get away with it.
It's so true. Dominic Monaghan has such good comedic timing.
Yes. And the music in this scene is so funny. It's like a carnival.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So great.
But yeah, this is part of why, when I watched the Lord of the Rings movies, he was just so endearing in those movies too. He has such good, there's just something about him. He has such good comedic timing. He's so charming. I love him.
Charisma for days, that one.
Yes. Seriously.
Locke says with 4 guns, they should have 4 men. So in a flagrant act of sexism, Jack literally ignores Kate and chooses Sawyer, of all people, to have the gun.
Whoa. That was uncalled for.
It's so true. We'll discuss. Hold on. Okay. Kate says she wants to come, but Jack says he just got rid of his last gun. Oh, darn. It's okay, though. Sawyer still has the gun he lifted from the Marshall and killed the polar bear with. He hands it to Kate and tells Jack that 5 guns are better than 4. Okay, how on earth do you defend this from Jack?
Well, wait. Explain why you think this is sexist.
Okay, because first of all, Jack hates Sawyer. That seems pretty established.
Yep.
He likes Kate. Kate has talked about going hunting with her father many times. So why would he just like not even talk to her, just goes to Sawyer and be like, I assume you know how to use a gun, and he just hands it to him.
I mean, just because he talked about, or Kate talked about going hunting doesn't mean she knows how to use a gun. And also, she's a convicted felon. So, I mean, he's probably thinking, maybe I don't want to put a gun in her hands.
Do you think he distrusts her that much, though?
I don't know. I did think it was weird that he would go to Sawyer of all people and hand him the gun. That seemed very strange to me. Because you're right. Like, Jack hates Sawyer.
Because, like, so, I had that thought, too, where I was like, oh, well, he knows Kate's a criminal and he doesn't want to give her a gun. Okay. But over Sawyer, I feel like that wouldn't even matter. Like, he trusts Kate to some degree. Like, more than he does Sawyer.
It's like, to what degree, though? Because after that episode where they found the case, like, I don't know what he thinks about her at this, you know? It's hard to tell.
Yeah. It's so confusing. I just thought it was absolute nonsense. I was like, why wouldn't you even talk to Kate and be like, so, do you want... Because you know Kate wants to be involved in everything. Like, ugh.
Maybe he just wanted to protect her.
No.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he did, but it's so irritating.
I don't think it's sexist, but I do think it was weird that he went to Sawyer over Kate. That just seemed... I don't know.
And like,
that was weird.
Right in front of her, too. It's just like insult to injury. She has to like watch this. Ugh.
Yeah, this whole scene it's got a lot of interesting dynamics going on.
It does. Yeah. I can't not read it as super sexist. I get what you're saying, though.
Yeah, I get what you're saying too, but I don't think it's. No, I don't think it's like that.
Saeed explains the plan to Claire, assuring her that she'll be protected from multiple points. He reminds everyone that the guns are a last resort. They want Ethan alive. Charlie watches on, looking worried and a little pissed off. Thunder rolls as the sun sets. It's raining, so you know something bad's about to happen. Claire walks through the jungle like a lost little lamb and she wades. Ethan suddenly appears and she screams and runs. He chases her and Jack tackles him to the ground. Everyone else takes 8 years to catch up, and
they really do.
Jack and Ethan have a fun little brawl, punching each other back and forth. Everyone surrounds Ethan, and suddenly a gun shoots multiple times, and Ethan falls to the ground dead. We cut to Charlie, and who could have seen that one coming?
Damn, Charlie.
Yeah.
But yeah, first of all, you're completely right. I'm not sure why it takes everyone else literally like 15 minutes to show up and help Jack with Ethan when they were all in the same area. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, don't tell me you can't run as fast as they are, because Claire did.
Right. And then I also found it strange that, because I feel like when I first watched this scene, I was like, okay, well, Jack's obviously going to need help taking Ethan down, because the last time they were fighting each other, Ethan clearly got the best of Jack pretty easily. And this time, Jack has no problems. He doesn't need help at all.
He's fueled by rage.
I guess. Wasn't he fueled by rage before? It seems very inconsistent to me that he would need, he needs no help whatsoever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it is a little inconsistent. I don't know if we're supposed to think that Ethan is just surprised and doesn't expect this, but I don't know.
I guess.
It's definitely inconsistent. So, I asked people on Instagram what they thought about this whole scene. This was like my my poll for the day.
Yeah, this is the pivotal scene.
This is the big scene. And someone posed the question to us of whether we would do this if we were in the same position or not. Would we do what Charlie does and protect Claire by killing Ethan?
That is a good question.
I know. It's a really good question. It's so hard. Like, where do you come down on Charlie doing this? Do you think that this was a good thing to do or not?
Yeah, people might not agree with this, but I agree with this decision 100%. I see literally no problems with the fact that Charlie decided to just kill Ethan.
Well, I think, and so a lot of people agree with you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it actually was fairly even on both sides. I think some people agreed and some people disagreed, but the ones who disagreed really just seemed to be like, we could have learned something from Ethan. And that's kind of where I stand.
That's what you think.
I
Okay.
understand how you're feeling, Charlie, and I don't like morally have any issue with this because he's freaking Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
But we have now missed out on an opportunity to learn something because you did this. Like, he was under control. This wasn't necessary, you know?
That's true. But I feel like I agree with what Charlie says later when he says, do you really think you would have told us anything? I don't think Ethan would have told them anything. I think if Ethan had told them something, it could have all been lies. And I also think, I can't tell you how many times I've been watching TV shows where they get the bad guy, and instead of killing him straight away, they tie him or her up to question him, and then they later end up escaping or doing something else awful. When it's like, you should have just killed him right away. You know he's terrible. You know it's never going to change. You know he's unreasonable. So, to me, like, I love this just for that fact alone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It frustrates me so much when, and they do this in shows all the time, when they'll just tie up the bad guy and, you know, because they want to get important information from him, and then it goes completely to hell and everything is awful again. It's like, you knew this was going to happen. Just kill them immediately. So,
but I think the good guys have to do that because morally, their reaction should not be to just kill the people that they disagree with.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't just disagree with Ethan. Like, he murdered one of their own the day before, and he would have murdered, like, Charlie should be dead if not for, like, some miracle that he's still here. Like, he's clearly, like I said, this is just my opinion, but I feel like Ethan, I agree with Charlie, Ethan is the bad guy. He's not showing any remorse. He can't be reasoned with. I see no problems with them killing him, or with Charlie killing him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hold it against Charlie. I'm definitely of the camp, let's learn as much as we can on Mystery Island. You know, like, so much is happening to us and it's so confusing that I feel like I just have to try and see what he would say. And, you know, he's so outnumbered. It doesn't seem like the odds of him getting away are very good. We've got Locke on our team. Like,
it would have been so risky, though.
Yeah.
To keep him tied up. Like, if I'd been on the island and they had tied him up, I would have immediately said, like, this is a terrible idea. Something awful. Nothing good is going to come of tying this guy up.
So do you think you would have been Charlie and you would have killed Ethan when everyone else didn't want to?
It's hard to know. It's, like, hard to imagine me actually killing someone. But yeah, I think especially considering the relationship that Charlie has with Claire, and I feel like you have to consider that and the fact that Charlie was hung up in a tree and how traumatic that was. Mm-hmm. Like, no one else has really gone through that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
in Charlie's position, yeah, I think I would have done it.
Nice.
I don't know what that says about me as a person, but yeah.
I don't know, but I'm impressed.
So you wouldn't have done it, you don't think?
I don't think so, because I am an information gatherer. That's always my prime motivation, is just learning more. So I don't think I would have done that.
Even if Ethan had been, like, hurting someone in your family or someone you really cared about, you still wouldn't have done it?
No. I mean, I just feel like with the number of people they have, he's not a threat if they can contain him. You know, if they can, you know, get those handcuffs or tie him up or something, at least have a conversation first, you know? Let Saeed have him. That's worse than death anyway.
Oh, God. Can you imagine?
It's like, this is a chance to actually put those skills to good use and learn something. And if you don't learn something, you don't, but at least you tried.
Yeah, but then what would they do if they didn't learn anything? What would be the solution then? To let him go or to kill him then?
Maybe you could kill him then.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really care what you do after that. It's the fact that there's no opportunity to try that sucks.
Yeah.
And I get Charlie's emotional response to this, and I don't really have any moral issue with him doing it. It's just the lost opportunity.
Yeah, I can see that. And I feel like when I first watched this, I had the same opinion as you. Because it just seemed like it's like, oh, someone else that can't give us any answers now to what the hell is going on.
Oh, we're going to learn something. Oh, of course not.
Exactly. I feel like that's exactly how I felt the first time. But watching it this time, and again, maybe it's just all of the shows I've watched since then where I cannot tell you how many times they do this, and it drives me crazy when they do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think about it in Outlander. I'm always like, Jamie, if you just killed Jack.
Right. Exactly. Or I'm thinking about The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So many opportunities when they should just don't tie that person up and ask them things. Kill them.
But they can't do that when they're the good guy. They just can't. But Charlie is not purely a good guy, so he can. And that's true of almost every character on this show. They have a little gray area.
Yeah, that's true.
Back at the caves, Jack asks Charlie why he did it, and Charlie says that he deserved to die. Jack says they could have learned where he came from. Charlie says he'd never have told them anything, and he wasn't going to let that animal near Claire ever again. In a flashback, Charlie is knocking on Lucy's door. She opens it, and it's clear that she's been crying. She knows he stole from her and that he's been lying to her. She says she knows now why he lied and why he stole, because he's a junkie. But she doesn't know why he took the job. Charlie says he wanted to be respectable. He wanted her to think that he could take care of her. She tells him that he will never take care of anyone and closes the door.
I like this connection with what's going on the island.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that he's thinking that maybe this time I can actually prove that I can take care of someone.
Yeah.
I can take care of Claire, even though I never did that for anyone else.
It is well-timed motivation.
Yeah.
To give us just a little more reason why Charlie might do this.
I like it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's perfect. It's, again, their whole relationship's weird. It feels like way too fast for him to care that much, but it still manages to hit that beat where Charlie is trying to be protective and obviously relating that to Claire. Charlie is sitting alone, and we make sure to emphasize all the happy couples around him. Sun and Jen, Shannon and Saeed. Claire approaches and asks Charlie why she remembers peanut butter. He tells her it was imaginary peanut butter. She says she doesn't know what happened, and she's scared, but she wants to trust him. They say goodnight, and the episode ends.
So lovely.
It is. Though, I don't know if I would trust Charlie after this.
Yeah, I don't know if I would either, but I feel like it's part of the reason they have such a connection. Because I feel like Claire knows deep down that Charlie is a good person.
Yeah, but man, if I watch somebody, like, just freaking murder someone in front of me, I'm not gonna be like, hey, I want to trust you.
Yeah.
I don't care how charming he is.
Yeah, but she remembers peanut butter.
She does. And she's probably reading her diary.
Yeah. I'm so into it.
I mean, I love them together, so I'm okay with it, but I would not be about this if this was me.
Well, if it was Dominic Monaghan, I'd be okay.
So that's the end of the episode. How do we feel?
I love this episode. It's one of my favorites.
It's really good.
From this season.
It has a lot of everything. It has, like the sweetness of Claire and Charlie. It has that kind of classic Jack versus Locke dilemma. It's got like a lot of scary crap happening.
Yeah, it's good. I feel like it's such a strong character moment for Charlie. And I feel like after watching this episode, I understand him as a person more.
Mm.
Like the fact that it was so surprising that he shot and killed Ethan, but I get it 100%. And the fact that he could bring himself to do that, I don't know, it just makes it's adding layers to him that I feel like weren't already there. And I really, really like it. I think it's well done.
Charlie is a very instinctual person.
Mm-hmm.
He's not one who's going to follow logic or reason. He's just going to like go with his gut on everything.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that's like part of why he was addicted to drugs. Like it's hard to ignore his instincts once he's on it, you know?
Yeah.
And that just overpowers him knowing that he shouldn't do this. He knows he shouldn't steal from Lucy, but he does it. And yeah, obviously this moment where he kills Ethan, it's just pure primal rage, you know?
Right. Or it's almost cold-hearted when he does it.
Oh.
You know? Like it's almost like he already made the decision to do it when he saw Jack and Saeed and everyone planning, you know, to use Claire's bait. It's like he had already decided that this is exactly how it was going to end. And he didn't even think about it when he shot Ethan. That's how I kind of read it. I don't know.
Where did the gun come from? Do we see that? Where did he get a gun?
Jack dropped it when he attacked Ethan.
Oh, okay. So if Jack dropped the gun, I don't feel like Charlie was planning to do this, right?
I feel like he was planning to kill Ethan eventually, like as soon as he had the opportunity, Charlie was going to end it.
See, I just felt like it was a moment of passion. Like he saw Ethan and he just like could not stand the idea of him being around and possibly hurting Claire again and was just like, nope, ending this now.
Yeah, I mean, that's also very possible.
But I know what you mean with that look that he's giving them as they like go off into the jungle.
Yeah, you know, and then also that look after when he shoots Ethan. It's so like...
He does not feel bad about it.
Right, he just looks like, it's like no emotion on his face whatsoever.
Yeah. That's interesting. I've never thought about whether he was planning it or not.
Yeah.
So, did you have a theme? I had a weird conundrum for this episode. I actually kept thinking of too many themes, and I couldn't pick one.
I did too, actually. And then, so I kind of wrote down a couple that were, like, half-hearted. So did
I.
Really work out. Okay.
That's really funny. Maybe if we wrote the same one, then that is the right one.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Mine are pretty weak. But
what did you say?
So, oh God. The first one I wrote down was, and this is maybe not so much a theme as like a question they're trying to answer in this episode, is protecting the people that you love from harm a valid reason to take someone's life?
Boom.
It seems like that, you know, that's kind of the crux of this whole episode. That's what it's all building towards.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like you can have, I don't know if the episode really comes down one way or the other, but...
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it does. 'Cause it seems like everyone disagrees with Charlie, but I mean, going forward, I don't feel like Charlie suffers much consequence for this. Nobody really holds it against him.
I was thinking the same thing. It's not like they have a conversation about it later from what I can remember.
I mean, we'll have to see, but yeah, it doesn't seem like he's certainly not ostracized for this.
Right. So yeah, I feel like it's a very divisive question, I feel like.
Yeah.
You know, it's either you come down on one side or the other. And for me, like I've already said, I'm 100% behind this.
That's very similar to the question that I had. It was, how do we take care of the people we love?
Okay.
So mine was just like a little more general, but I felt like the answer to this question was building trust, because it's when he loses Lucy's trust from lying and stealing to her that he like really breaks that, and it's the trust that is bothering Claire. You know, she just wants someone who she can trust.
Right.
And Charlie's keeping secrets from her, and that's what's keeping her from like reconnecting with him.
Okay.
But he starts to regain her trust when he kills Ethan. So that's very interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like how trust is woven through Charlie's flashbacks and the stuff with Claire.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's better thought out than what I wrote down.
I think they just go hand in hand. I think they're part of the same question.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a big question. I love it.
But yeah, it's kind of sad that Damon Lindelof doesn't like this episode. I like it.
Yeah, I can kind of see why he felt written into a corner here, but I love it. I think it's well written.
I can understand his frustration as a writer. If this is not the story you wanted to tell, feeling locked into it,
Right.
You're never going to be fond of that story. But you're a great writer, so it's going to turn out pretty good anyway.
Yeah. I will say after I read that response, I looked into it a little bit more, and he's given a lot of different answers when people have asked him this question. So I don't know if this is really his least favorite episode of all. Like the one that people, I think, really get on him for is, do you remember that episode in season 3 called Stranger in a Stranger in a Strange Land or something like that?
That's Jack, right?
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah, that episode is god awful.
So I think that's like real. Yeah, it is awful. I think that's like truly his least favorite episode, but this one was also mentioned. So
yeah, that's crazy. It sounds like he just has like personal animosity toward it.
yeah.
All right, that's it for this week, you guys. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you especially to Paul and Jen Lucky, who left us iTunes reviews recently. You guys rock.
Yay. For real.
If you would like to help us out, then head over to iTunes and rate, review, subscribe there. You can also donate $1 a month or whatever you can afford on our Patreon page. And if you want to chat, email us at frecklesandblondie@thelostpodcast.com, or you can find us on Instagram. You will not want to miss next week's episode about Sawyer and Outlaws, because I'm sure we're going to agree about absolutely everything.
Yeah, it's like high highs this week and low lows next week, guys.
It's going to be amazing. Personally, I love our episode about Sawyer earlier.
Yeah, it'll be some interesting discussion, to be sure.
It always is when Sawyer is involved.
Yep.
Thanks again, everybody. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Randy.
And this has been Freckles and Blondie.